hello everyone. It's Lil and I'm here with your helpful art tips today in the basement studio. Today we're talking about perspective. That is linear perspective. I mean, I have my own perspectives on things. So do you, gosh darn it. But that's not what we're interested in right now. Right now we're interested in how do we draw things to give the impression or the illusion that they're in three-dimensional space, right? So we're working on a two-dimensional surface as a flat surface, and then we're trying to give an illusion that something looks three-dimensional. And to do that, we're going to use linear perspective. All right, sound good? You with me? Anybody here?
Doodler and your mom.
Okay, well, good. I mean, that's who we need here right now. That's who's supposed to be here. So all I have my pad of newsprint. I have a 2B pencil because I wanted a little softer pencil so I don't stab my paper too bad. I have a ruler, which is really more of a yardstick than a ruler. And then if I do need a ruler, I have a piece of mat board that has some nice straight edges. And what's cool about this is I can just kind of set it if I need something vertical that is perpendicular to the edge. Okay, so there's that. Where do we start? A couple things we have to know about linear perspective, the elements that are involved. So the first thing we're going to start with is a horizon line. All right? And every perspective drawing needs to have some understanding or position which is known, called the horizon line, and represents your eye level. Okay? So this can be a tricky concept. This line right here, which represents the horizon off in the distance, is always going to be at your eye level when you're making this drawing. Okay, that's just one of the principles that's there. So in this case, we're just adding it kind of in the middle, right? Now, a quick note, if, for example, we have a piece of paper. These are terrible boxes. And your horizon line is low on the paper. That means something specific. It means your eye is low, which means that you are looking from a low level and things are kind of going up. Whereas if your horizon line is high, then it means you're up high and things, you can look down on them. Does that make sense? It's very complex. All right, so those are important. And I guess if we have something kind of in the middle, all that means is that your eye position is relatively center to your surroundings, okay? And that's how you're going to perceive. So you might see things that you can look up at or you can look down at. It really just depends on the context. So those are some things. Also, something to note. Let's use this as an example. When doing perspective, I expect to. Okay. Me and spelling, we don't really agree.
I know where I get it from.
I know it's terrible. I'm just not concerned about it. And I have my own shorthand, messy handwriting that I can read and nobody else can. So, all right. In terms of perspective, the key term here is linear. Linear? Somebody check me. Doodler.
Linear. It's linear.
It's linear?
Yeah, you did it.
Okay, good. I was going to say, Doodler, check me. Check on the Google to make sure I spelled it right.
Hugs for Life, Jen Trott, Sarah Swallow, and JJ Paula.
Oh,
Jenny.
welcome. Hey, Jenny. How are you? Congratulations on your award last night, Academy Awards. You are a visual artist, and you won the Visual Artist Award. I am so excited, and you are amazing. You're an incredible photographer. I want you to know that, and I couldn't be more happy for you. So stay tuned. Fun things to come for you. I always like to present my Visual Art Award winners with a small token of my appreciation for them. And so look for that coming your way. Okay. linear perspective has a couple different modes. I guess mode.
This isn't a calculator, though, right? Are we
No,
doing
like
that?
it's like we just took our phone and we turned it into what kind of calculator is that called? A graphing calculator?
Yes.
Okay.
A possum sim is here, and then Jenny says, "BRB crying."
BRB crying.
Thank you for the kind words.
All right, well, stay close because I'm talking about perspective. What I think has applications in photography as well in terms of how you look and frame a scene. So if you don't know this already, stick around. So in terms of linear perspective, there's a couple different ways to go. Again, I'll place a horizon line here, and the next element that we're going to consider, which would make this a certain kind of perspective. All right, here, actually, let's jump back over here. 1 point perspective. In 1 point perspective, we have a single vanishing point. And I guess I got to write that down. Vanishing point.
Can we read that?
I don't know. Can you read that?
Not.
We have a single vanishing point. In 2 point perspective, we have, are we good on the light? We could turn that light on if it, tell me if that helps. I don't know if that helps. Or if that just, does that make it worse?
I don't know. I think it's fine.
Still learning about how to set this all up. All right. In 2 point perspective, ironically, or not so much, we have 2 vanishing points. We do. All right. Now there's more. All right. There's 3 point perspective. There's like,
Quadruple.
there's
point.
all sorts of points of perspective. All right. But I don't want to get nutty today. I just want to talk about 1 and 2 points. All right. So in 1 point perspective, this would be, and let's do something here in 1 point perspective. If we have a single point on the horizon line, the vanishing point is always on the horizon line, and that's important to remember. Always. It's never not always. It's always not never on the horizon line. It's never not. It's always.
Stop talking.
It's always okay. So in the vanishing point here, I'm putting it central because if you start to get it too far one way or the other, the illusion can break down. Okay. So what do we do now? Well, we have to start establishing things like A, what are we going to draw in perspective, and B, how is it going to lay out, and will it be above or below or on the horizon line? Okay. Now, I think that one of the best things we could do is to begin to plot out some lines. So we could just be general, right? And we could start putting lines out there as a guide. So if you're just like, I don't know what I'm drawing, but I want to make a scene, and it's going to be in 1 point, you could start putting some lines out like this, and they can go both above and below the horizon line. All right, another way to do this, and this is what I do, and most of you are my students anyway, and many of you have seen this before, but why not try and draw a cube, okay? Cube. If you know me, you know I love cubes. I got a big cube outside of my classroom. Ice cubes, big cube, cube. I used to actually have, I had an obsession where for a year or two I was making like pixel art out of squares and cubes, and now I'm gonna go back and do that because suddenly I got really excited. So we're gonna draw a cube here.
Like what's that game?
Cubey?
No.
Cubert?
It's like a pixel game. I don't know.
The one. Okay, we'll look it up. So we're gonna draw a cube here. Here's what we need to know. When drawing a cube in 1 point perspective, the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna start by drawing a square. Okay.
Square.
Now, I'm not too worried about being perfect here. I could measure it and blah blah blah. Oh, look at me. Do you see?
That's almost.
You know what that is,
an inch
friends?
right there.
That's 30 plus years of a trained eyeball.
Did you do the other side though?
No, I'm not going to do that because that.
Please,
okay.
please.
All right.
That side was even closer.
Oh, that's pretty good. Okay, so first I draw the cube because in 1 point perspective, I'm looking straight on at the thing. I'm going to look at you with my right eye. Left eye look, right eye look. And to make it look three-dimensional, in 1 point linear perspective, I need to start to recede lines, right? It's the thing that goes away from you. I wish, wouldn't it have been cool? It would have been amazing. Oh, hold on. Don't go anywhere, friends.
Should we not look? I'm not.
No, you
look,
can. It's
look
fine.
at the cube. Look
No,
at
it's
the
fine.
cube. Oh,
Okay.
there it is.
So this is kind of a cube. It's a little bit of a complex cube. But if you're looking at the cube straight on, right, you can see that front face. It looks like a square, okay? And if you're looking at it from above or below, you can start to see, maybe you see the underside or maybe you see the top side, right? If it's shifted to the right or left, you can start to see one side.
Look at that optical.
Okay.
illusion.
And so that's what we're trying to get. Those lines that go back in space are called, well, I call them receding lines, and they're gonna recede to the vanishing point. Okay, so that's what we got to do next.
Turtle Man.
Hey, Turtle Man.
That was so good.
We're gonna recede a line from each of the visible corners. Right. This one, there's nothing we're gonna see from here because it's behind something.
It's a what is it called?
It's
A transparent square.
This could be a transparent square if we want to. We could do that. So I'm going to recede a line here to the vanishing point. I don't have to draw all the way to the vanishing point. I just have to know that a certain portion of the line is receding.
Oh, and a third point.
And then the last
Third
one.
point.
Okay. All right, got to get that third point in there. Get it on in there. Okay. So now what I am starting to build would be the right side of the cube and the bottom of the cube, because the cube is above the horizon line and it is to the left of the vanishing point. So therefore I see its right side. And then I just need to establish the perpendicular, or I should say parallel line here that represents the back. Boop. And then the bottom. Okay, so this now becomes my cube, and I could do, all sorts of things to shade and help me and my eyes to interpret what's going on here. And I'm going to just do this kind of lightly. Boop, 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 boop. All right, so the front face is still kind of faced at us, and the right side and the bottom are receding back, okay?
Cool.
That's 1 point. Now, what if we wanted to draw a cube in 2 point perspective? Let's draw a cube that's kind of down here, okay?
Don't
yeah.
need 2 points. Where's your other point?
Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
See what I did there? Okay, so we're gonna borrow from this vanishing point. Okay, and then we're going to add one over here on the right side. And we have to do something different. This time we're going to draw a cube. Instead of facing forward like this, we're going to say we're looking at it on an angle. Okay?
Oh, no.
Isn't that so what does that mean? Well, here's the difference. Say we're in downtown Chicago, and we're standing in the middle of the road. It'd probably be more like this. Maybe we're in an Old West town. Okay.
Yeah, we're going to be in Old West.
Old West. So what we would have is a single vanishing point, and then the road in front of us would appear to converge at a certain point, which is the vanishing point that all lines recede to.
Math.
And we would draw the buildings. They would be kind of either facing us, right? So like one side would be facing us and another side would be receding. And it just so happens that the buildings, as they are to our side, to the left and right of us, would recede back, and then they would go straight back, and another building might come up here, and then I have to adjust that receding line. Okay, notice that this angle isn't the same because the angle changes the closer things get to you.
Look at that.
That's amazing. All right, so it's like we're standing in a city in the middle of the street, and we have all these buildings that go back into space. In 2 Point, it's more like, say there's, I'm just gonna kind of do this with the lines. Okay, maybe we're looking up at a building, and we're standing on the corner. Okay, so here's kind of a building, and then we're on a corner, and here's a street. Boop, 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 boop. And then maybe here's a street. Boop, boop, boop.
And I wanted to get a shot of you doing your boop, boop, boop,
boop, boop, boop, boop, boop. And that's a sidewalk. Okay. So this would be our building. Boop, 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 boop. I feel like I have to make sound effects. Okay.
My stomach just made
Your tummy is hungry. It is that time.
You too.
My tummy's hungry. Oh my gosh.
Communication.
Right? It's like we're talking with our tummies. That's weird. Okay. And now I can put all these windows in. So I'm on the corner looking across to the other corner, and this building rises up above the horizon line from my eye level. And I'm looking at it from a corner instead of front on, or like something that's in front of me. This would be like if I'm standing and looking at, I'm like up elevated, but I'm looking down at, this is a terrible drawing of a taxi. Say there's a taxi of it, but I'm looking at the top, and like it's driving down the road here. Zip, 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 zip. Okay.
Doodler says that sound effects are essential for
drawing. They are. I feel like you can draw so much more effectively when you make the sound effects. So again, here I have 2 vanishing points, and the thing I'm going to do is draw a single line up from below the horizon line across the horizon line, which means I'm looking at something that's large, or as large as me or larger, and then I'm going to begin to connect the top and the bottom points back to the vanishing point on each side. Do. Okay, and now that's kind of cool, but I need to say, well, there's a left side and a right side. So now it's more of like a rectangular prism than a cube.
Rectangular prism.
Okay.
Geometry, anyone?
Geometry. So this is my eye level right here. If you didn't know, that's an eye. Boop, 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 boop. And I'm standing in front of this cube. It's like I'm looking at the cube at Wheaton Academy. With those of you who have no idea what that is, I apologize. I'll have to post some more pictures. Check the WA Visual Art Instagram for pictures of the cube. And this is the left side of it. This is the right. I don't see the top, and I don't see the bottom because the top is above my eye line and the bottom is below. All right.
Below.
That felt a lot like what's his name from The Princess Bride? So I can clearly not choose the one in front of me.
Yes.
That scene? Oh my gosh. I felt like I sounded like Vasily.
I don't think you sounded like him.
Okay, well, in my head, I was sort of channeling him for a second, and I don't know. Okay, so what happens if we move? Everybody's like, oh my God, this is getting really hard.
Inconceivable.
This is inconceivable. It is. So
that was good. That was better.
Let's move a cube, just a little cube.
Baby cube.
Above. Now you can see I'm kind of going about this a little backwards than before. Here's what's essential. I need to have a vertical line here. This is going to be the cube, and I'm going to extend this because I'm just going to connect this line back up. Boom. And then I'm going to recede that.
My stomach's going to growl again.
My stomach's going to growl. I can feel it. Things are going to change. I can feel it. That was a little Beck right there for you. A little Beck reference. You don't know?
No.
Okay, good. Great. So I'm doing the left, the right side. And now, here's a trick. Here's a trick.
The bottom.
The trick is don't ever use an eraser. Don't worry about that. So this stuff is in your way, right? I don't know. Hold on. Guys,
Always be prepared.
always be prepared. Have your needed eraser. All right. You need
Me?
needed eraser. You needed a needed eraser,
Ha!
which makes the eraser feel needed. Okay, I have a left side and a right side. I can't see the top because it's way above me, but I can see the bottom now because it's floating in the air. And so what I have to do is I have to do something tricky. On the left side, I have to crisscross to the opposite vanishing point to get the bottom in. Whoop! And on the right side, I have to crisscross to the left vanishing point. Boop.
I like
So-
that one. That one was a good sound
Boop.
effect.
So I'm just going to draw this in so you can see this clearly. Now we have the super forced perspective looking cube. And the question is, Mr. McCallum, oh my gosh, I mean, little Lum, why is it so distorted and forced in its perspective? And I'll tell you why. Because we have our vanishing points pretty close together, and we're doing kind of an extreme angle. So that's a little bit of a trade-off. Sometimes the illusion can break down a little bit when you're either working too close together with your vanishing points, or things are just slightly off, or you're in this case we're sort of pushing it pretty far to one side. If our vanishing here's what this means essentially: we're like really close to that cube. It's above us, but we're really close to it. All right. So this is a cube that's floating. This is the bottom piece right here. Boop, 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 boop. This is a great way, both 1 point and 2 point, using linear perspective, to lay out and plan a drawing that has a complex scene that you want to depict with some, I don't want to say realism, but like a representational scene, okay? So you want there to be the illusion of space. Now, if you're a kid, and by kid, I'm still kind of a kid myself.
On the inside.
On the inside, okay? Children do something wonderful. They perceive a little differently, okay? And honestly, it's because their minds are still developing. And so there's certain concepts about how and why they see things that they're not worried about. And so they do these wonderful things, right? So if you're a kid and you're drawing and you have a piece of paper, where would I put a house?
Right in the middle.
Well, not only in the middle, but I'd put it at the bottom, right? Because this is the bottom. That's the ground.
bottom.
That's the ground, okay? So the house goes here on the ground. And it probably has a chimney because, I mean, there's some kind of cultural embedded thing here. The house has a door. And
Right in the middle, smack dab in the
it's
middle.
right in the middle, which is not practical, but that's kind of what ours is, I guess.
With
We have a
two
ranch
windows
home.
on each
Yeah,
side.
windows on each side, living space and bedroom space. Okay, so that makes sense. And there's probably a tree, and the tree again is connected to the ground. Boop. And has some branches. And
Children are not
also
that advanced
looks
with
exactly
their
like
branches.
smoke, because smoke and trees are kind of the same thing. And then there's what? A sun, right? The sun is probably right here and shoots deadly radiation onto the home.
And there's only a strip of blue right at the top,
And
and,
there-
nothing in
Exactly.
the background.
There's like, this is the blue, okay? And then the sun would be yellow, and the
And
rays
then
would be
the
black.
ground is green, but
Yeah, there
like
might
the
be some
house
green.
is kind of peeking
Or it
out.
might be like this. There might even be some, okay? Now, honestly, like I kind of like that drawing, and I love the way that young people interpret drawing. Not only the way they interpret it, but their freedom with how they do things. Because every child can draw. And then you start to grow older and life becomes more complex, and somehow you stop believing that you can draw. Well, I think what linear perspective does for me is it helps to take something complex and helps me to understand the way I look at the world, okay? And I think one thing that I've been trying to help everyone do during this time is to look and see things differently. Now, if you want to draw a house with a tree just like this, that I think that's fantastic, okay? That is valid and amazing. But if you are interested in something a little bit more, then start to incorporate linear perspective into your drawing as a way to lay out what's happening in the scene, right? Because once that happens, and look over here real quick, say we're working with 2-point perspective, okay? And we have some things that vanishing points that go back, and we want to try to figure out, how do I establish, say, a person in a scene? Well, I can start to literally block this out, okay? In blocks, like Minecraft version. Maybe there is a person here, and I can start to frame that out. And I just have to make sure I'm paying attention to what lines go where. But I can use a block method to frame out a complex scene as long as I'm considering how these vanishing points are interacting. So I'm basically using cubes as a way to build out and frame out how I want things to be in here. So now, once I do that, I have a head, and I know that I'm looking up, and there's a neck here, and then I know that, and I guess I didn't draw it super well, but I know how things are going to start to play out, okay? I can start to think of, oh, that's a person, or that's an animal, or that's a house. And linear perspective is such a great way to map it out and begin to create complexity in your drawings and make it feel like it's a little bit closer to how you experience the world every day.
That's a size 2 shoe, in case you were wondering.
Oh my gosh, I gotta map out that a little bit better. Okay, he's got little pants on. Okay, little pants, no shirt, but just pants, because it's a hot day. He's got a bro tank. Let's go bro tank.
Bro tank.
Bro tank. Boop. Okay.
With a 6-pack drawn on top of it.
6-pack bro tank. So you use the technique so that you can begin to flesh out your drawings even better. That's kind of a dad bod right there.
That's why he has a 6-pack on his bro tank.
Yes, because he lost his 6-pack long ago, and his t-shirt is tucked in, and he's wearing slacks while he does yard work.
Because he lives in the 1950s.
Because, well, yeah, I mean, we all do as soon as we get to a certain age, okay? He's bald, but he does have a beard, and he's a very happy fella. Boop. Okay. So, anywho, linear perspective, it is complex. It is something you'll wrestle with for a while until you start to become comfortable with it, but it is an invaluable tool to help you become an artist at a different level, okay? Again, not trying to say that you have to use this. I'm saying it's a helpful tool. Well, friends, it's been great hanging out with you. Thanks for spending time with me today. I look forward to another Helpful Tips tomorrow, and check for more exciting posts from me coming up. Got some things brewing in the old imagination I want to share with you. So brewing like a delightful medium roast coffee. Indeed. All right, peace to you. Love and friendship and all the great things. Hope you're doing well. See you later.